What is up, everyone? You're listening to On The Reel. I'm Brandon, and I'm here with Alex and John. We actually are in Las Vegas, Nevada right now, and we had the opportunity to sit down with the CEO of Motocrane, Zachary Nelson. In this podcast, we had the chance to talk about the trials and tribulations of being a business owner, how failure can be a door to growth, the importance of the team you surround yourself with, as well as the importance of collaboration in the industry. So join us in this hour-long podcast where we delve deep into his side of the business as well as our side of the business and how those two meet in the center. And it was a good talk. I think we had a good time.
What's up, guys? Welcome to On The Reel. I'm John Hebrank.
I'm Brandon.
And I'm Alex Schreer. And today we have our very first guest. He's Zachary Nelson from Motocrane.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
What's up?
How's it going?
It's going great.
Awesome.
Just had our first day at NAB.
Yeah, how was it?
It was great.
It was awesome. I'm just down here for the day, and I love coming down just because I get to meet a bunch of people in the industry, and we were having a conversation earlier about just the concentration of everyone coming together, manufacturers, operators, owners, just like everyone in one space, and it's super cool to get to meet people, and people we have a massive international market, so people coming in from overseas, so. It's cool. It's fun.
Absolutely. The show was huge today, and it just opened, and there was a storm of people. Or our booth with Defy, we were with Defy today, helping them out, and it was just right in Central Hall, so all the people were just standing there waiting, and we got this awesome shot with the cable cam of them just barging through the doors as the numbers counted down. We were the only booth
in like the main area before the doors open, so we're kind of like outside the show.
Yeah,
it's awesome because we're right in the front.
Right.
So everyone's guaranteed to see the booth. And it was awesome, and everyone's sitting there, and we had the establishing shot coming in over the live show. It was awesome.
So we have a lot of partners that are manufacturers of stabilized heads, and so Intuitive Aerial, I'm walking in and I see those guys, and I start chatting with Robin, the CEO of Intuitive Aerial.
Oh yeah, cool guy.
Over, and I see you three.
I come over wait.
Wait, that's Zach. We gotta go say hi.
I'm like, Alex, that's Zach. We gotta go talk to him right now.
So you guys had prime position. I mean, like I would have probably never seen them or you guys have. So I thought the position was dope.
Yeah, Defy and Intuitive Aerial really killed that position. It's sweet. But let's talk about you.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what you're doing and Motocrane and maybe just like where you started and how you got into that.
100%. Yeah. So my background is I was in film school, and I'm a total gearhead car guy, and the other co-founder of Motocrane is a mechanical engineer. Scott Tufson, my best friend since like 7th grade. Nice. And when I graduated from film school, I was running my commercial film production business in Minneapolis, and wanted to get into this kind of growing market of automotive content, and lifelong viewer of Top Gear and all of these amazing automotive shows, and quickly realized that the equipment required to jump in and be producing world-class automotive content was really a cost-prohibitive venture. So
it's not like hanging out of the back of a car, right?
Yeah.
So couldn't do that on big sets.
So it was kind of like, it was just a pain in the ass for a while. And then I kind of like just got sick of it. And I said to, my now business partner, I was like, you know what, let's just fucking do something about this. We put together just like some really quick napkin sketches of what we thought like the equipment would need to be.
Where were you when you were doing those napkin sketches?
We were 100% drunk at a bar in Madison, Wisconsin.
Yes,
those are the best sketches.
As any brilliant idea should start.
Yeah,
at a bar.
Yeah, right. but I mean, it was like kind of a developing conversation, and then as we spoke with other people more, it was like we recognized that this was just a really, really big vacuum within the industry. Yeah. How we describe it now is, and this is 2013, so this is pre-Movi days.
Wow.
This is like you don't even have handheld stabilizers, so you had like dudes with
hard mount.
Hard mount, or even like the Kenyan GS6, like handheld gyros, like actual reaction mass gyros. So you had these like really just bizarre pieces of equipment that were all kind of like circling around this fundamental problem, which was the coolest gear that everyone wanted to use was completely inaccessible. So we approached that of saying we need to be creating accessibility within this vacuum, which is happening in the industry in so many different ways with the advent of digital. And we just started, and it was started as a really crude concept. The idea was originally called Autocrane, but we couldn't get the trademark rights for it.
So that actually leads me into one of my questions. How did you guys get the name Motocrane? Who came up with that? And like the logo, I love the logo, so I do the most of the design for us.
I love it. Yeah, it's so good.
And it's it's perfect.
Yeah. So the name was, moto has like just that word has this idea of like motorsports, motors,
Right.
electric motors. That
Was it kind of just an epiphany moment? Oh my God, it's Motocrane, or was
I
think
it was actually like a second best, truth be told. I mean,
nice.
I said, it was like Autocrane was what we were going for, but Autocrane is actually a brand of like utility cranes that are mounted in the back of pickup trucks.
Oh wow.
So you can Google Autocrane, like just like what we did in 2013. We're like, oh, we cannot name our company. This is not what it's gonna be. So Motocrane, was born on March 28th, 2013, legally, and the first logo that we ever drew is the logo that we use today.
That's actually the same story that happened with us.
Yeah. So Reelbros did the same thing. But
Yeah.
I was like, Reelbros, that ain't gonna work. That's too childish.
So
but the
what
logo
happened,
was
we were
sick.
in the car on the way home from class, and I was just like, "What about Reelbros?" And John's like, "Hmm." And we kind of like didn't.
I was
think
like, I don't think that's gonna work.
Why
That's-
Reelbros? Like, why was that the name?
I don't know.
Brandon just said it out loud in the car, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, that sounds cool, but
Yeah.
bros is
Well-
like right as of right now. I mean, we're getting this later, but it's like that's a lot of reason why some people kind of are standoffish in a way. They think
and
it's
our
kind of childish
our brand
or
is
young,
trying
right?
not to be serious, like a lot of the other production companies. Where
We
we're from.
intentionally did that.
Yep.
Yeah, it was totally intentional.
If
And
we want to work with those people that want to work with us, not the people
Yep.
that don't want to work
Of course.
with us.
Vice versa.
Right? So
Yeah.
we can't handle them all. It's impossible, right?
Yeah.
So we
And
get
I
the
think
people we
that's
want.
like that's a powerful statement, which is like you have to know your customer, and you have to understand your position in their lives, and you have back to the idea of like this whole new era of content creation. You know, dudes like Devin Graham from Supertramp, where it's like his brand is not serious, or like
Not
the
at all.
what are the
especially
guys that
the
do?
YouTube creators.
Yeah,
the content
exactly.
creators on YouTube. Yeah.
And the reason they're so successful is because they're transparent, they're real. You don't have this like weird corporate facade where people feel like bizarre. It's like, no, listen.
They feel like they're going directly to the content creator rather than a company that's built up of like hundreds of people.
Yeah, and that has changed the face of marketing for forever.
100%.
Because you have the idea of these tools and these platforms like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, which have really just created massive levels of transparency with anything. With you have Fortune 100 companies that are trying to be less corporate, trying to be less sterile. They want to be more integrated in the lives of customers.
And that's how we got most of our clients now. They contact us and say, hey, wow, you guys are like the youngest group of the people that we have in front of our face right now, and
of course
we want to go with that.
Yep.
And they may not like what we do. They may do. It's just because we have that drive as young people to give them what they want.
And then I think we're also like really inclusive with the clients too. I mean,
Totally.
like we involve them in the process. Like we show them the shots right after we get them, which I mean, sometimes that's really scary. Like, are they going to like it or are they not? But we're putting them in the process and they're investing in it themselves, and it works wonders with them.
We've replaced people as far as some clients, and they said, "Oh, we never got showed the shots before." It's about engaging them, and then they get excited before you tell them, "Oh, this doesn't even have color on it; it's flat right now, but it's gonna look awesome." And then I don't know. That's what I noticed at least.
Well, and I think that that's a generational difference. You have so I'm 29, you guys are 24, and we're all relatively young
absolutely.
within the industry. Oh, yeah. But you have a generation older than us. There was again like you had these barriers between companies and consumers and within production departments and all that. So I think the more that we can know our neighbor, know your consumer, it's just better.
So speaking on the age thing, because we're all fairly young,
Yep.
have you? Because I know it's happened to us. Have you encountered a lot of like ageism in the industry where people don't want to work with you, or when they first start working with you, they're not certain about you because of your age and how young you are?
I think that I did more when I was operating my commercial film production business. I was 2 years younger than you guys when I started that. No,
wow.
actually I was 20. So I was a sophomore in film school when I started my production business.
What was it called?
The Zachary Nelson Company.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that. It's got a ring.
Yeah. So I mean, in my brand was all about like craftsmanship around cinematography. It was purely cinematography. I was not an editor. I would not cut your stuff. But it was like in Minneapolis, we have a pretty big like corporate commercial presence. So it's like companies like Target are headquartered out of Minneapolis, Best Buy, a couple others. But my whole thing was like, I want to produce the images of your product with the most fidelity and clarity and all that. So my whole brand was like quality, kind of boutique offerings.
Right.
You know, I invested in like flavor glass, not real sterile glass, like stuff that would be really, you know, characteristic.
Right.
And so I think that, you know, as long as my reel was just super dope and showed that, there was the trust right away. So it was like, of course, you know, I could be 20 or 24, 34, 54, but like
work shows.
Work, you know, that's kind of like
that's kind of what we noticed starting off was we didn't have at the very beginning in college, we didn't have a lot to show for it. So we kind of had to get
not
on
a lot
sets.
at all.
We had to get on sets and then gain that trust with our clients once we started off. But I mean,
all of our clients have come back from word of mouth stuff.
Yeah, we have working relationships with our clients,
which is what
now.
I want. You know, I think that's the best thing, even for yourself, even people talking about your systems and how well they work and like.
Yeah, and you can never replace the testimonial or like, you know, the third party validation of anything. You know, it's like us as a manufacturer or any manufacturer can say whatever they want about their own gear, and it's just like it's very programmed in for any conscious consumer to like hear that and say, okay, I hear what you're saying, but I'm going to need to do some reviews. And that's what's great about the whole digital internet age is like you have access to that.
Right.
You can get impressions
instantaneously.
Yeah. And so we're super, to the best of our ability, transparent about connecting prospective customers with people that are owning our systems. And we want people to have that connection, you know, future customers with current customers. It helps us grow as a manufacturer because it helps accelerate our feedback loop for future product development. And it also accelerates like current business because people either, you know, the shit or they get off the pot. It's like, is it the system that's perfect for you or is it not?
Right.
And people can make their decisions a lot faster. And we can learn the reasons why, which again, that just accelerates
exactly
us.
Yeah.
So
that's really awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So I know a lot of successful businesses are based around a team. So can you talk a little bit about the team that you've put around you and surrounded yourself with to make it happen?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you're 100% right. The team is everything. So kind of back to the origin story, which telling that you kind of get the whole look at what our team is today and how it started. But originally it was just Scott, our co-founder, and myself. And my contribution was all the filmmaking knowledge, and he's a mechanical engineer. And so we kind of workshopped the idea, just he and I together for probably 18 months. And it was all in CAD, all in a digital environment. We didn't make anything physical. And we were learning so much about what the system needed to be just within CAD before we'd actually make anything. The next two people that we added were completely on the electrical side. So they were essentially electrical engineers and then embedded kind of software people.
Kind of people to take you to the next step of production.
Yeah, and they filled a gap where, you know, in any robotics, like software is massive. You know, the whole like control loop and everything has to be completely dialed. So and that was the skill set that we being Scott and I didn't have just between the two of us. So we brought two guys onto the team, and their names are Daniel Price and Joseph Cox out of California. Nice. And remember, we're based in Minneapolis, so they were working remotely. And so we progressed, and you know, that was when we started actually building physical prototypes, physical proof of concepts. And they brought us, just the four of us, we basically developed the whole concept of Motocrane as it was launched in 2017 over the course of a couple of years. And then once we launched, that was kind of like when the whole company just, you know, for us, relatively exploded.
Sure. That was the image with the Audi roller on the highway, and it was hanging off the side. That's the one I saw, and in class, and I was like, oh my God, I get these.
When you guys originally launched that, like, what platforms did you target? Did you do like press releases and all that?
Were you into social media? Did you understand like how targeting worked and stuff?
You know, we up to that point, we were like super secretive.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
We're like, if this idea is worth it, it's gonna bang.
Right.
You know, we're gonna know right away.
Yeah.
If it's not worth it, no one's gonna give a shit. And we're gonna know right away as well.
Right.
So we just like acted very, very conservatively. We invested with, you know, in patents and everything, and kind of like dotted our I's
smart.
and crossed our T's and stuff. So
which is smart.
yeah, and I got a lot of thoughts on patents too, which I won't go into now. But anyway, when we did launch, it was super grassroots. You know, I mean, it was just really Scott and I that were really driving and pioneering. Like on, I think it was January 7th, 2017. You know, we kind of like made the Facebook page public, and you know, you have that moment where it's like, okay, this is, you know, all of your effort and your energy and your thinking and your stress and your success has led up to this moment, and now you no longer decide, you know. it's kind of out of your hands at this point.
We have the same feeling.
Yeah. So every time you're going through these iterations of like the phases of the company, it kind of reminds me of what we're going through currently and what we have gone through. I think that's really cool. That's validating.
Yeah. And it's like, if you're a conscious consumer, you can kind of reverse engineer what successful marketing looks like. Like if you're real with yourself about like, what do I respond to positively? What do I not give a shit about? What do I have issues with? You know, if you just like, if you can kind of like reverse engineer that for yourself, I think that you can drive a relatively successful marketing campaign. And so for us, it was like, again, super grassroots. It was like, you know, we just had done a ton of research about like who's posting about Russian arms and tracking vehicles and all that stuff. And we just like tagged people and messaged people. And we spent like the whole day. It was like maybe 6 hours of just sitting on Insta and Facebook and just like sharing it. And thankfully we had a lot of press interest early on.
Well, so you're hitting two huge markets. You're hitting the automotive market, which is a lot of people are interested in that, you know, and then you're having this crane that's hanging off the car that you can mount on anything with cameras and film production. So that whole industry. So you're just like colliding those together.
Yeah.
That's accessible for the filmmakers and cool for the automotive people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's two industries that mash together out of nowhere.
Those are huge. That's a lot of people.
Yeah. And so I remember it was, I was like actually at a dinner event for my fiance, not my now fiance. And I was
congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, we got engaged this year.
Awesome.
But I remember my phone vibrated and News Shooter had published, and that was the first article that like had gone live.
Way.
It was like, you know, Motocrane, you know, I remember I just like, my jaw just dropped.
You were just like, oh my God.
I mean, yeah, I just like got, I mean, like it was just, I was high.
It's a high, for sure. 100%.
And then the whole, like maybe next 14 days, it was Premium Beat, No Film School, Pro Video Coalition, 4K Shooter. You know, all these guys were picking up these articles, and it was
all
like
heavy hitters.
You know, we were just getting tons and tons and tons of emails. And so it was a really, really fun. And again, like I said earlier, we knew that we would know right away if it mattered or not.
And there it was.
And there it was.
Yep.
So, and you're getting...
it's super validating.
Yeah. I mean, you're getting emails from people like at Tesla and,
No
you know,
way.
from the dudes at Shoot Top Gear. And like, I was like, wow, this is real. You know, this is now a real thing, you know, and we're, you know, we have we were in my parents' garage, you know, for 3 years, super humble beginnings. And it's like, okay, now is time for us to really do this thing. So basically from that point on, you know, back to the idea of developing the team, we knew that the team had to be just, you know, absolutely top, had to be world class.
Right.
So we started our search right away for what we knew to be kind of like the fundamental requirements for taking our tribal knowledge to the next level. And so now the team...
When did the search begin? After about 4 employees?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think. I'm trying to remember exactly back to the year, like the specific timing. But it was maybe like 2 months after we had launched. Scott and I knew that there were a couple of things we wanted to like get dial on the prototype. And we like had to actually get a real office space. And like there was a lot of things we had to get done. At the same time, actually making product, you know, like you're getting inundated with all these leads. You know, we hadn't released pricing, so we're still establishing like, you know, small conversations privately with people to like figure out our price point and make sure that was right. Because
I remember going on the website and trying to check what the price was, but it was like to be determined.
Email for quote.
Yeah, exactly. And it was and it was because it was all speculative. Like we had a target price point in mind, but that was something that we still needed to validate with people that were interested, to make sure that we weren't completely fucking off base. And thankfully we were pretty much on the money. So anyway, after that went live and people were actually starting to place orders. Like, you know, you need to make these. Like you actually have to build this company, not just your proof of concept, your prototype. You have to build a company that makes products.
That's scary.
Yeah. So that and obviously, like, you know, on the note of the team, that means an insanely efficient and powerful team. And so we were super, super lucky. The team that we have now is like, I'd put them against anyone for product developers.
That's awesome.
Super talented, young group of just hustlers. I mean, we call ourselves pirates because we just awesome. We just, whenever there's a challenge in front of us, it's just kind of like, we're not even phased. It's just like, okay, sounds about right. Let's do it.
We're the same way
right now. That's exactly us.
That's exactly.
That's how we pride ourselves in our work ethic and how we execute the job. We're always like, let's do it. Let's get it done. Whatever it takes.
Yep. But it also makes you learn a lot quicker, and you build a specific character.
Well, and then you're consistently putting yourself in a challenging position.
Right.
And those are the times you actually learn stuff.
And you develop as a person.
Exactly. Like, you build character, wisdom, and I don't know. It's put us in the position that we are today, and I feel like that's definitely the right.
It makes you less nervous as well, too.
Yeah.
You know, it calms you down and builds confidence. Exactly.
Yeah. We have so every time that we onboard a new employee, I give like our core values presentation, and our 3 core values at Motocrane are performance, insight, and challenge. And challenge is the word that you had used, and it's for us such a fundamental component because it encompasses the idea of the notion and the execution of failure, like actually failing, like setting out to the best of your ability and then completely blowing it, you know, or at least failing to some degree. And failure is like the most valuable thing you can do.
100%.
And in any company that is in a place of success has failure stories, and the ones usually that are more successful have more failure stories. And that's no coincidence.
What's a failure story that you can share with us?
He was really, Alex has been asking
like
you.
a funny one. No,
nothing serious. I love what is one that was pivotal.
The failures and the fuck ups are what make
that's what we really
make a company.
That's my biggest thing. That's my biggest thing. Is like I've always said, the only way you're gonna learn is if you fail. You do it and then you fail.
Yep.
It's the only way.
And some of them
are
like
in school, like you fail your test, you're like, okay, what did I do wrong?
Yep.
How do I get those questions right the next time, right?
And the people that don't do that are just stupid.
Yeah, well, that's a different story.
Yeah, totally. And that's, I think that like something even like you have to actually manifest failure in your life daily. Like that has to be something that like every day. So what we do,
accept it.
Yeah, at Motocrane. So every day we have a stand-up meeting, and everyone commits to what they're going to get done that day.
Every day,
every single day.
Wow.
So 8:15 in the morning, we all stand in a circle, and everyone says to each other, "What are you going to get done today?"
Get out of here.
And so we have like a whole prioritized timeline for anything that's on the docket. So for right now, it's like pretty much just building units. Like we just we're inundated. And it's just getting units out the door.
Sure.
Getting people to ultras.
Because right now you're packed.
Do you have any other office strategies besides that? I find those fascinating because I feel like that's a
that's
perfect way
huge.
to build a team. It keeps the communication going. Every day you're delivering your goals for the day individually. And I think if it's just like, if you do it every month, then I feel like people forget about it. But I don't know. Do you have any other like office strategies?
Yeah, there's So my role, it's a little bit of a segue. My role in the company is CEO, and Scott, the original founder, he was originally CTO and is now operations officer. And so what Scott is really, really good at is kind of imbuing operational efficiency into our business. And so he and I operate on this book called Traction. If you guys haven't heard of Traction,
no.
It's a really great book for entrepreneurs. I recommend it for anyone who is in a team setting that's looking to boost efficiency. But they describe a lot of rituals that as a team are really, really good to do. So for us, again, like the idea for performance, insight, and challenge, manifesting those every single day within our team is looking your team in the eye and saying, this is what I'm going to get done today. Then the next day, 24 hours later, coming back and saying, how did it go?
Right.
So, and you do that every day. How did yesterday go? What are you going to accomplish today? What do you need from the team? 3 things. Boom. And then go do your day.
Yep.
And then, so every single day you do that, and that's a ritual that allows you. Yeah. So you then are reflecting every day on performance, insight, and challenge. How did you perform? Were there ideas that happened or learnings that need to be shared with the team? How did you fail? And sharing that failure with the team, because that's learning. So
totally sharing that knowledge.
Yep.
I think we just learned something.
I did
that we're going to apply to our own business.
I 100% learned that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's helpful, and especially in if you're trying to accelerate a growth curve. Like again, if growth is proportional to failure, like you have to embrace. You have to literally look for and like try to accelerate failure. Like open your eyes and like put a magnifying glass on everything you do and be like, how are we failing?
Embrace it.
Yeah. It's not something to be like, oh, well, no, we're kind of failing here, but it's okay. We have a reason. Don't justify it. It's like, no, you fucking failed.
Exactly.
You blew it.
You got to take
that
shit into consideration, hardcore.
Yeah. So that's a really important thing for any, like, especially early on. I try to lead more from a place of like, what have we done historically versus like theorizing and like, oh, well, we think this is going to be how it's going to be. And it's just like, I don't give a shit what you think. Like, what have you done?
Exactly.
Where's the proof for anything? And
that is such.
As long as you're like, as long as you're going through your weeks and your months, which go by really, really fast in product development, and you're keeping close tabs on what history is showing, you can look back and be like, okay, well, if we think that we can, develop a product or, build a certain number of units or shoot a video or put together a new partnership or distributor in Europe or whatever, it's like, where's the proof?
Right.
Right. And so if you're afraid to try stuff, that's also a big problem.
It's huge.
You can't be afraid to fail.
No.
So, and again, growing that relationship with failure, and I think it's for anyone, even like if you're not a business owner, just for yourself.
Life.
Yeah, just
Exactly.
life. Not being afraid to fail. Not being afraid to do something. And then when it does happen, if it goes even a fraction different than what you thought, being able to embrace that and like manifest that. And like, okay. So,
dude, I'm on
Roll
the
and
same
pivot.
level right there, dude.
Yeah.
That is spot on.
That was some really deep insight.
No, but that is spot on. That is where my insight. That is
That's the
I mean,
stuff we
that's
talk
so
about all
good.
the time.
All the time. We
So-
have an office and we don't yell at each other. We kind of yell at each other. We're loud.
it's good.
Not
But
yelling.
It's
but-
That's how you-
validating hearing
It's-
from
it-
someone as successful as you with
Sure.
your company, and
Absolutely.
then knowing that we have the same conversations and the same kind of.
And I'm sure a lot of other people are having those same conversations now.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe they're not, and maybe they now know
That's the type of
kind
stuff
of the
that
direction
you
they need to go
hear
in.
in those positions.
And
Yeah.
you can't let it discourage you.
No.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a
I want to hear a failure.
No.
Oh, I'm
a
just kidding.
failure, a failure, but like
A funny failure.
let's talk about a moment that in your mind at the time was like a make or break moment for Motocrane.
Yeah,
So
a
like
pivotal
what? Because
moment.
we've had moments like that where it's like you gamble or you wager
Mm-hmm.
on an idea or a concept or a project, and you hope that it is successful,
Mhm.
and you kind of put a lot into it, and then you come out on top on the other side.
Yep.
Because every time you have failures, but you also have successes. So
Mhm.
like, what's a surprising success for you guys where
You put
you
it all on the
you put
line.
it all on the line
If you
for
have
it, and it
something like
was
that.
I mean, that's
it was
kind of his
make or
story
break.
when
Yeah.
it's kind of his story when he started, but maybe like a
Sure.
new one with Ultra.
Yeah,
Let's
maybe
talk about
there's a
Ultra.
new one after you saw that first wing of success, or maybe
Yep.
there's a time where there was some discouragement at the start of it when you guys were first fleshing through the idea on those
Mhm.
years before you finally got to realizing the first gen of the product.
It's super serendipitous actually, because it was our first NAB. So like, if you're listening to this, we just did day one of NAB 2019. And so Motocrane launched in 2017, and the first show we did was NAB 2017. And when we launched with what we call our Gen 2 prototype. That was like the second iteration of our kind of go-to-market unit that we were actually going to sell to people. And that's the stuff that was on the original website, that was on the blogs. That's our Gen 2 prototype. We knew that we wanted to implement all of the changes from Gen 2 to Gen 3, which is actually going to be like our saleable product before NAB 2017. So essentially, it was a fucking nightmare. Like it was, we onboarded, 3 new guys, like literally like 3 weeks before the show.
Oh my gosh.
And it was because we did it as quickly as we could. And
Sure.
I mentioned earlier, like we had to get into office space. Like we had to figure out a ton of stuff just logistically with how we were going to.
I got to get out of this garage.
Yeah,
we
like-
got to get
like-
an
like
office.
just-
We got to get people. We got to.
it was insane. I wouldn't, going back, like I say that the 2 weeks before NAB 2017 were the worst 2 weeks of my life. 100%. Like I bet, like first off, I weigh like 145, like wearing clothes.
Sure.
I bet I weighed like 125.
Oh,
And, like, I mean, I
totally.
was so nervous. Because that was the first time that people were actually going to be seeing the system, like
Right.
actually putting their hands on it and touching it. So that alone is very, very nerve wracking.
Right. And then not only that, but talking with customers in person.
In person,
Not over an email
using
where
it,
you have time to
all
think
that.
about it. Or
So essentially, like NAB 2017, we consider internally to be a massive failure for us. And it's because we showed up with a unit that didn't work. It straight up didn't function.
Really?
Like it had everything inside of it. Like it had motors, it had circuit boards. That unit did not work. Straight up. So we basically we spent 2 weeks.
it was a pony show.
It was a total pony show.
Yeah, sure.
We spent 2 weeks like absolutely killing ourselves, like rewriting firmware. Because we had like made a generational leap for ourselves. So we had made like a generational leap from Gen 2 to Gen 3, which is what we were going to show at the NAB 2017.
Right.
So there was a ton of new things. We went to like dual lift actuators and like a bigger motor and like a different drive mechanism for the swing axis and like a bunch of stuff, like a really heavy redesign that our new talented team were all kind of champions of. But there just was not nearly enough time to make it happen. So we basically like went for it, and we completely underestimated the amount of time required. And like basically
I
it
can
was like
see it right now.
it was like 2 weeks of just learning like one more day. Like if it was 14 days, it was like we learned like a 14th every day that we were not going to make it. And like the 2 days before NAB, I think every single one of us like did not sleep. We had our team, they were still working full-time jobs elsewhere before we had actually onboarded them as full-time employees for Motocrane. So they were like leaving their full-time jobs at 5 p.m. in Minneapolis, coming to our space, and then working like 10-hour shifts into the night.
Through the night.
Oh my gosh.
Building these like we wanted to bring like 2 units to NAB, and we like brought one that was just basically like a sculpture. But again, and it's like everything was there, you know. It's like everything was there. It just like literally didn't work.
Well,
So
we had the same story from Drew Janes at Defy. Like the same thing. It's the same mentality of just like
rush at the end,
they're so we gotta get it there. We just gotta go.
There's
Like you just go.
And
he did the same thing, and it's just it's
but
crazy.
the you know the reason why that story really matters is like on the way home, like that was one of the most sobering moments of my life. Like that, I shouldn't say moments, but like sobering 2 weeks. Like the way I changed as an individual massively. Like pre-NAB 2017, like literally a different human from who I am.
That's super interesting.
Because on the way home, it was like, listen, everything that I thought, like that I thought we were able to accomplish, my ability to judge time, like I have to challenge myself.
Right. You were
really,
humbled.
really, exactly. Yeah. Humbled. It's a perfect word. Like I was massively humbled by that experience. And so we completely pivoted. Like
I think that's a really good trait to have too, is to be able to be humbled.
100%.
Then you can.
Nobody wants to work with people that aren't humbled with themselves. You know?
Right. If you always just think you're the shit and you have it under control, it's gonna backfire on you one day.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you're not looking at your downfalls and then.
You're also not looking at your future. You're looking at the present time of yourself.
Right. You're just always enjoying what you did then and not thinking what you can do later and how you can do it better.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
So on the way home, and we drove through like, you know, we had a big U-Haul and like my mom's like Ford Flex, and like we were sleeping in the back, and like, you know, it was super sketchy.
So how old were you going to that NAB in 2017?
So
27 or 28?
I was 27. Yeah, so
Wow.
I'm 29 now. Yeah.
So that is like pretty nerve-wracking. I mean, all of the biggest people in the industry are sitting in that convention center.
Well, you impressed on the internet, and then the goal was to impress in person, right?
Sure.
Yep. And like the funny thing was, like, no one really gave a shit. Like everyone was still there, and like the show went fantastic. You know, we had demo reel footage and stuff, and like our booth was still
awesome.
like what we wanted
It was
to
still
be.
lit.
Right.
But we like were carrying the weight of this failure for the whole show.
Sure.
Like we were just, you know, we were so sullen by this like not accomplishing this massive benchmark for bringing our like go-to-market product to this trade show. You know, like that was such a big goal for us that we failed to do. And, you know, of course we came back and, you know, ended up working out. We made everything happen, but again, it was just the time scale. So, and I think any young product development company, again, until you've done it, that's why I say I try to lead like with historical data. Like until you've done it, it's like, it's all bullshit. I don't care what you say.
100%.
Like, you can say you're going to have it done in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. If you haven't done it before, you're wrong.
You're gonna fail.
Like, you're wrong. And like, that doesn't make you a bad person.
No.
Like that just makes you human. That makes you like thirsty for more. And like, good on you for trying, you know, and like that's where you have to have your mind for growth is like, I'm going to try something. I'm going to venture into the unknown, and that's okay. And I'm going to give it my best shot, and I'm probably going to fail.
That brings up a quote on your guys' website on your mission. We are delighted by challenge and the journey through the unknown. I think that's awesome.
There he goes.
And the stories.
You just solidified that.
Yeah, no, the stories you've been telling, that's exactly what your team's been through.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the goals and the trials and errors that you've been through to learn from those experiences and move on.
Yeah.
And I think that shows definitely with you and your team is the genuineness of who you are, and it comes through the product and the business. And I mean, working with you and talking with you on email and Facebook and stuff like that, it's been the most genuine, easy experience. And I felt like when we first met at NAB today, it was like meeting a friend that we've had for
crazy.
It was a long
super
time.
Awesome. And when you're like, when you, I don't know if it was DM on Instagram or it was an email saying you come on our podcast, and you said yes. We were like, are you serious?
We
were literally like, what?
We
weren't even done with our first one yet, and you're like, yeah, I'll be on it. We're like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
That just shows who you are, though.
Yeah. No, thank
we
you for
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
100%. And I think that the reason why that matters is like, is our customers get that. Like that, it becomes a part of our product. Like that's why it matters. If it stopped just at like conversation, like it wouldn't really matter as much. But our, again, transparency and our attitude about like not being bullshitters and just delivering fantastic products that are built by people who know what they're doing for people that know what they're doing. You know, like when you pick up an Ultra and use it for the first time, it's just like, shit, this thing's just like, it's fucking solid, you know? And it's because it's built by people, not just us. Like, you know, I was telling you guys earlier, we built Ultra with a beta group of our customers. We said like, you guys design this. You know, we'll make it, but like you tell us what it needs to be.
Right.
And so when customers pick it up, it's like, oh shit, yeah, this is what it needs to. I didn't even think about that.
Do you know how many you had? How many people that like helped you develop that? How many?
So we probably had, I think our total beta group for Ultra was like, I think it was like less than 15.
Yeah, but that's I mean, but you don't have it's not a massive market.
Yeah, we're not selling iPhones.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like a Defy where they sell Dax cams. It's not a huge. It's a very, you know,
it's a niche. It's a niche. 100%. Yeah. So and that was super clarifying too, because we had recognized with the whole product development of our first system that was like, we did pretty good, but we can do better if we bring more voices in. Like we saw a direct correlation between the number of voices that we brought in that we trusted to weigh in on conversations and the success of whatever product we were developing. So we were like, just lift it up. As many people that we can get on board, we need to do that. And it was even like shit as trivial as like, which way should the joysticks go? You know, I mean, like,
so
you know,
funny.
just like, you know, which way should we like design? You know,
how do you
like
want it to feel? How tall is it? How, you know, all that. That's crazy.
The stuff people think doesn't matter, like really matters.
Really
the most.
matters.
And when you find a good product and you grab it and you get the good joystick, you're like,
wow. The ergonomics are more important than people realize.
Right.
But I think in you know, the idea of what Ultra is like. We claim it's the most versatile remote arm in the world, and it's because it's so considered from every single facet. You know, it's not just that it's, you know, 12 feet or that it has a great payload capacity or anything. It's like it can fly on a fucking airplane. You know,
that's so nuts.
You know, and like that was I remember flying with Ultra for the first time, just being like, I was just like, dang, like there's a remote arm that's longer than a Russian arm mini, like underneath my seat in this airplane.
So insane.
On my way to where did we go? To LA.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
To get a Russian arm anywhere, you would have to. Production company would have to call the nearest one.
Yeah,
it would cost so much money to get it over. Yeah, the car. It was just a mess. But now, like hearing that, and you being the only one that creates something that is packable, you know, on a car that I can put on a rental car if I wanted to, is nuts. Yeah, you don't have to have a black. I mean, obviously having a blacked out car is a lot better. But if I'm going to another country and I can just rent a car and I can throw it on there, and you get the shots,
game changing.
It's huge.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's all about getting those shots. That's all that matters.
The client, that's all they care about. They don't care how the equipment works or what it looks like or how much it costs. All they care about is, give me the shot. Where's my shot?
Yeah. Give me the shot. Yeah.
That's all I want.
Yep.
Totally. And you make that a lot easier to do now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Motocrane.
Yeah, 100%. No,
Speaking of which, we just purchased our new Motocrane.
We did.
And we're super excited about it.
If you're one of our lucky podcast listeners, you get a little bit of a head insight into that one.
We haven't told anybody yet.
Sneak peek.
Just keep it on the down low.
Yeah, we're writing everything down and kind of creating a path for where this thing is going to be used and how it's going to be used, and we got
some cool stuff on the way.
What are you guys most excited about for taking delivery of your Ultra? Like, is there like a certain thing that you guys are like?
We've always wanted to shoot car commercials, and we've had a few projects in line.
Well, no, we've been doing it. We've had the grip tech arm, and now we have a black arm, and it's like a lot of the clients are like, "This shot looks amazing. I love it. You guys are doing great. This whole package is great. Can it move
more?
More. Can it move? More. Can you go up and down? Like, for example, when we were shooting the Fisker Karma on the PCH in California, we had to move that thing around a lot. A lot. I mean, and they want to know, the producers, directors. I was on a phone call with 3 different people, and they're like, "How fast can you move that black arm?" I'm like, 2 minutes. Yep. I told them 2 minutes. I can do that. You get out of the car, you put it up on top. You want to go low, you want to go on the side, you want to go on the front. I can do that. Now it's like, I put this Motocrane in my car, and I just sit my butt in my seat, and I just operate. Oh, you want to go high? Okay.
One joystick.
It's and that's what's exciting, because my clients are now super excited about having that ability. The black arm does its thing, that it does its stuff. But the Motocrane is something that's going to take, us to the next level of that kind of production. But we're not just going to use it for cars. I'm going to mount this thing on whatever the heck I can mount it on. And on your website, it's like, you can mount it to fucking anything. And I was like, that is why I want to get the Motocrane.
Game on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And you'll also see on our website, we use the word freedom. And like that's a really core component to why Ultra is what it is and why it's designed the way that it is, because like we're trying to maximize the idea of freedom. It's not just like freedom while you're shooting. It's freedom within different heads. It's freedom within different cars. Like really as a creative, you know, trying to maximize the ability to be free.
When I read that the first time, I kind of assumed it was the camera position, you know, freedom camera position. I didn't think about the freedom to use the head you'd like and the car you'd like.
Yeah. It's kind of like from all aspects. How do you, because you think about like, okay, here's a fantastic black arm package, you know, with our R2, and it's like, it's very capable, but it still has limitations, and that's okay. That doesn't make it a bad tool. It's designed for what it is.
Exactly.
So Ultra still has limitations, but you lift those. I mean, you expand the boundaries and the capabilities of what a system is able to do. And that's like, people say like, well, what's the difference between this and a Russian arm? And the first thing that I say is like, you can't fucking fly a Russian arm on an airplane.
No.
You know? But like, that's like what people always, that's a conversation one has. Like, well, what can't I do with this versus a Russian arm?
Right.
Like, well, one, you probably, you can't own a Russian arm.
Yeah.
So there's one thing.
Get it locally from wherever your shoot location is.
And that's just like the start of all like the comparison between the Russian arm and Ultra and what we're doing in the marketplace.
They do the same thing, but they're actually totally different.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
they're very different tools. And that's because we've looked at the criteria for gear ownership in the same way that you would look at a camera. Like any kind of gear purchase, you're really looking at value. How does that specific piece of equipment bring value to what I own, to what I offer as a service, whatever it is? And boutique stuff is really hard to sell if it's a one-trick pony. Because it's like, well, you better have that thing in service because it's going to be expensive, and that's what a Russian arm is. You know, it's a wonderful piece of equipment, but it's serving a very, very small sliver of the market.
And people are still going to use them. It's not like
100%.
Motocrane is eliminating it. It's another tool. It's another tool. The Motocrane is something for other people to be able to use around the world that you can't get access to a black or a Russian arm.
Yep.
Right.
Immediately.
Yeah.
And there is a price difference. I don't know. Renting a Russian arm, and more stuff about this. I don't know the difference between the two, but I wonder, is there a difference? That's what I was talking with Alex. Is like, do we price it the same as a Russian arm? Are we at that capacity to be able to do that? And and I don't really know what that line is.
Or is there a premium to the accessibility to it in remote locations?
Right. Is that a higher price?
You balance off that cost of like you either ship out and trailer the car there, or we can fly in with this arm. And I think it's the accessibility of it's wild. And back when it's like a full circle for myself, because I'm from the days of like hanging out the backs of trucks with John and
with
ratchet strapping a jib in the back of a truck to get like similar to like a Russian arm shot and stuff like that. And then seeing the Motocrane come out and designs going, be like, wow, that's wild.
Yep.
I would have never thought in my mind that I would be in a position to get this tool. It's really a toy, but it's also a tool.
I mean, I don't know
but
personally talk with the CEO about
get this toy and use it for my own business, and then also just to get to sit down with you and get the insight into the.
This is honestly some of our favorite stuff, is just talking with the people that create these instruments or programs and whatnot. It's like I appreciate the work that these you guys put into products like this that we can then use and grow our business with.
Well, and I think
we appreciate it too.
The passion shows, and we say always like real recognizes real.
Yep.
And I think that is a true statement across the board. And you see people's passions and what they put into their products or their films and stuff like this, and you want to be a part of it, and you want to be involved with it, you want to talk to them. And I think that's the best part about our industry is we have all these people that are super passionate about what they do, and know they're doing exactly what they're meant to do and what they love to do. And you're able to meet with them, collaborate with them, create stuff, and make like tangible films and shots from just this.
But that's why we want Motocrane too. Is we appreciated, we saw the value in what you guys were creating, and we just
like we got to be
attached to it.
Got to be a part of this.
Yeah.
How do we do it?
We knew we could apply it to a lot of our projects.
And then we just started asking clients, hey, we're getting a 12-foot boom arm that we can put on any car. We literally had no idea we were going to get one. It wasn't like we just told them. So we were kind of like fishing our clients, like, hey, well, this something, could you be interested in this? We didn't really say that. I just said I was getting it. Yeah. And, I can do this. And they're like, oh my gosh, tell me when you're going to get it.
Yeah, that's next level. We want it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's when we're like, okay, we're getting one.
Yeah. We actually just got an email from a client this morning about a project that's coming up later this month that they were wondering if they could get the arm on. And I'm like, I know, we're like, it's not quite here yet.
We're not there yet. Close.
It's coming. It's coming.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I operate Motocrane with the understanding that, and I was saying this to you guys earlier, but we consider ourselves stewards of an idea that we don't own, right? Like we consider the idea of Motocrane to be owned by the marketplace. And it's our job to be stewards of that idea, to make it and realize it in the way that it needs to be realized. So, and again, it's because we're a very progressive and kind of radical group of product designers and engineers. And the way that we approach stuff is like, of course we own the company and we own the rights to manufacture in a certain way, but like what it actually is owned by our customers.
Yeah, you see it as a responsibility to deliver that product, the best product that you guys can in your company to your clients.
Yeah. And so when our customers get it, it's like it feels like it was designed by them because it was. Yeah, it really was.
Yeah. That's really awesome. Huge.
That's amazing. Thank God somebody is doing that for this market.
I'm actually really jealous of you guys. Like I'm in a position now where it's like I just want to go fucking shoot stuff.
Well, let's do it. Hey, come on down to Phoenix and let's do it.
That's the one thing about us. We tell people all the time. It's like, you want to shoot? Here's the deal. We built Reelbros off of our free time and our free money, or not free money, but our free time.
Give me some of that free money and our own money. Like
we just spent our own money. But we spent our money building what we wanted to build and doing what we want to do, and we still do that to this day. I'm not like, oh, you want to go do this? You got to pay me my daily rate of blah blah blah.
Let's talk about it. What do you?
Fuck that. I want to go shoot, and that's the only way you learn. You get out there and do stuff. It's like people in college now are learning stuff, via whatever they're doing in school. Like you got to get out of that classroom. You got to go learn stuff in the real world, and you're going to either like it or you're not, and you're going to know when to pivot onto something different. But it's something that I don't know.
Well, and you're gonna fail too, and
you have to. We're gonna talk about that.
You're either gonna deal with them and you're gonna progress and grow, or you're gonna realize that it's not.
Well, if you fail and you don't progress, then that's not what.
Yeah, you didn't fail right. You failed at failing.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's the whole.
Hashtag double fail. That's a fact, John.
That's facts. That's facts. That's facts.
That's so awesome.
Yep, that's what that's for.
Oh, that's so great.
That was the first time I actually hit that. That's awesome.
But no, I mean that's why I was saying that earlier, but like I really like stressed that point that failure can't be something that you like put over in this weird corner. Like we have such a stigma culturally with the idea of failure, but like
they're scared.
If you completely reposition as being like failure is the doorway that I walk through that allows me to progress. If you view it as like, of course you want to progress, right? Like, and if you view the framework of failure as like your means to succeeding and growing, then it completely changes how you view that. Like it changes the courage that you need to have to like step through through the doorway of failure, so to speak. I kind of made that up, so it's a little rough, but and you search for it. You're not just like, oh man, we failed again. Okay, what do we have to do? Okay, we have to learn. It's like, no, it's like, if you're looking for failure, you're going to find it. Yeah. And as long as you have the relationship with it, it's actually a really positive thing. Because failure should be, yeah.
Well, you're going to know the next step. You're going to know what to pivot next. Immediately.
Don't make it a taboo subject, failure.
If you don't know what to do next because from that failure, you're done.
Yeah. So pride inhibits that, and not having the safety too. Having the right people around you to fail. Sure. You have to have safety to fail too.
Right.
Absolutely.
People that encourage you to also fail, because there has to be
surrounding yourself with the people like your team is key.
Yep.
And I don't know. So what are you excited about? I mean, this is kind of like going down. We're at 49 minutes now.
Yep.
Like, what are you from the Ultra and from that release, and you're building products, and I'm watching like everyone, because you're posting basically almost everyone that's receiving their stuff, or at least the people are posting about receiving it because they're all super excited.
Yep.
Like kind of what do you see from here, and like how excited are you that these people are getting this stuff in their hands, and kind of what do you see next, and how do you feel from that?
2019 NAB, like what's the difference between your 2017 and then 2019 with your customers and like their feedback and how they're enjoying the product?
Yeah, and just like the Ultras, let's just praise the Ultra. I mean, you guys are here now, and it's huge, and you know, kind of just how excited are you?
Yeah, we're crazy excited, and I think it's because we finally feel like we have been successful in the mission of being stewards of this idea. You know, back to that core concept. Sure. Like our mission is to go into this weird unknown niche that we consider ourselves the best at. And again, it's because we're connected with the people that get to decide that we're the best. So we feel like now that we have a product that is really delivering objectively what a system like this needs to be. So we're really happy about that. And the future for us is growing those partnerships, you know, continuing to try to push Ultra into every corner of the world, you know, which, you know, we have a lot of them all over the world now, and that's super, super great. But, you know, our mission is democratization. So it's, if we wanted to measure the success of our company by just like one profitable number, we do what the Russian arms did and be like, you know, we sell territorial rights, and that's not what we do. You know, so we measure by number of customers, and we measure, all of our metrics are built around quantifying, democratizing the tool. So it's continuing to push those numbers, getting more units out, just because then we know that we've succeeded at democratizing the tool. For future product, you know, Ultra was something that we wanted to make sure was as, you know, quote unquote future proof as possible. So we have a lot of like really exciting products coming up that are all peripherals to the Ultra system.
Oh, nice.
Things like, you know, the driver of the vehicle always bitches about not knowing where the arm is. So we're building a breakout module called the DVM, or the driver view monitor, which is essentially the same touchscreen that's in the controller for Motocrane. But you know, it's just in its own little, it looks like a Garmin basically.
Yeah,
like
I was talking with Alex that.
Yeah.
I think that's something I want to add to the bin.
You want one?
I want one now.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's super smart. And when a client sees that you're like everyone's attentive to this giant 12-foot arm swinging around your car, it's a nice thing to see. And even the safety people that are on productions when doing that stuff, it's like, how do you know how to operate this thing? Or do you know what you're doing? And are you seeing where this stuff? It's like, no, I got a screen right here, and I can show you exactly where it is at every time. And I got 2 people watching it, you know. So that's huge, and I love that. And adding stuff to the Ultra is that's exciting for me, because like I want to know what's next. I don't even have it yet, but I'm like, what's next? I want to get
the systems we work on with the Defy. It's all about safety, especially since flying those things over crowds, hundreds of people. So that's something that we really appreciate. It's definitely a feature that we want to get for our system as well.
For sure.
Yeah. And we built it with the ability to, again, you have to remember, like, we develop products in conversation with customers. So the worst failure for us for future product dev is like someone says, hey, is it possible to do something? And we say no. Like, then it's like, well, fuck, you know, we knew that there was going to be things that we didn't know. We knew that there was going to be questions that we wouldn't have answers to.
Right.
And we've built Ultra to facilitate that, to give us, even if the answer is expensive, it's still yes. Versus like, well, no, it's just not possible. Right. And I mean, I was in the shot over booth today with, you know, the guys that develop their new shot over B1. And we were talking about integration with that head and like what we can do and like the possibilities. And there are possibilities. And again,
100%.
there is not a remote arm system on the market. And I have confidence saying this because I know that has the capability and the possibilities for the future that Ultra does, with how we've built it to be so open to ourselves as the manufacturer to build new modules to integrate with it. So, and because it's modular, you know, like we can take one-off requests. You know, people can say, hey, I want to run this cable into here and do that and run a power, you know, I want to run my Teradek up above, but I want to run another Teradek down below. And it's like, productions are fucking weird, you know, everyone, you have to be flexible. So,
well, as customers, we love hearing that, that future proof of the product that you guys are striving for. You know,
but getting those custom ideas though is like,
well, we love hearing
you get those
you
all the time.
So,
I mean,
we love hearing that you guys are so keen on taking back customer feedback.
Huge.
And and like
instead of telling people to fuck off, it's like,
if we feel like there's something that we wanted to add and we run that by you guys, and that's something that you can possibly add as a future development. That's really.
But
cool.
that's why he already said, I mean, in the beginning, it's like the Ultra is like the people's
Yeah, I know.
The people's arm.
Yeah,
people's arm.
It's the arm.
The people's arm.
The people's arm.
The people's
It's my
crane.
left arm.
People crane.
Yeah, no, it's it just goes back to
Hashtag people crane.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, that could be a good one.
Yeah, that could be good.
You heard it here, folks.
But no, it's fun. I mean, like, you know, I consider the product, you know, we started development on Ultra January of 2018. So, you know, we're 15 months later.
Sure.
And
you're cranking them out now.
Yeah, and I can also look back at, you know, I remember I came home from a trip and I had on the airplane, like, written down on my notebook all the specs for Ultra, and we delivered every single spec.
That's awesome.
And that was like from January 2018. You know, we basically like opened a new chapter, literally white paper. I put a big sticky on the wall in our R&D lab. And I said, this is, and at that point it was just called Motocrane 2. Like, we didn't have a name for it. But it's like Motocrane 2, you know, these are all the specs that needs to be.
Sure.
And, you know, we were delivering units in October of that year. So, like, less than a year from white paper to shipping units.
That's insane.
CE certified, you know, everything being done. So that's success for us, is like being that fast and that efficient and that accurate for delivering.
And then executing that well and delivering a product that's at the top of the market for what it is.
Yeah. My best notes come from the airplane.
Yeah.
100%.
Totally. We were just like stuck.
Out of time
You're stuck there. There's no monitor. You know, they don't have the TVs in front of you. It's dark, especially on the late flights when it's dark and you've got your headphones on. You're just like, I need to be doing something. I'm like, I can't sit anymore. And you just start writing notes down.
Just stuck with your thoughts.
Literally all the Reelbros stuff. Like, if you go back and like look at stuff that I wanted to do, and even Real Motion, before Real Motion was Real Motion, I had it written down. Not as a headline, it's just in my notes. Well, and all of a sudden it just comes into play.
I think that's like a manifestation of like a, same thing as like a vision board is if you actively pursue or actively like tell yourself what you want to foresee your future and where you want to be, you will find a way to do that.
Well, I think that's like this conversation is pretty profound in a number of ways, but like, you know, as you guys have said, like, you were viewers, you were spectators of our launch as a company.
We saw
you know?
it, trust me.
And to think about where you guys were then, to think about where I very transparently have described where we were at that point.
Sure.
And like now 2 years later, where you guys are and where we are, you know, I mean, that's a really cool thing. I mean, that's an awesome story. So like, one, congrats to you guys.
Thank you.
On
Thank you so
getting to this point of like, you know, to like what you're saying, Alex, realizing that and manifesting what you guys wanted to achieve. And like, here it is, you know, you're there.
That's crazy.
That's awesome. And that's just testament to like your tenacity. And that's, I think, like, that's probably my biggest suggestion is to anyone who is in this business and in this industry, is like, everyone sees everyone else's great work, you know, and you're always comparing yourself to the other awesome fucking DPs.
Especially with social networking.
Totally.
It's toxic.
Yeah, it totally is. Really, but like to really think about who you want to be as an artist, as a business owner, like whatever your role is within your team. And you may be a team of one, but to like not be afraid to be a specialist, not be afraid to recognize like what your unique value is. Don't be afraid to just specialize and say, this is my thing. And I'm going to make sure that this happens for a determined amount of time. And guess what? If it ends up being that I just fucking suck as an editor, then move on. Exactly. Do something else, you know? And that's
I've
okay,
done that.
you know?
I did that. I was like,
okay.
I hate editing. You two are now handling editing from now on. I'm just going to watch.
We've taken control on that. But
no, that's a huge point that needs to be taken in consideration to anyone doing anything in this industry or another industry. It's like that's a very valid point.
Yeah. Well, there's so many assets in this industry. And in different outlets to express your creativity. Don't force yourself to go into an outlet that you're not passionate about.
Right. Don't do it.
Yeah,
you're not gonna get far with it. But it's insane. And we obviously see that you, Zach, have an extreme passion for this stuff. And more than I actually thought. You know, even
I'm really passionate. I get criticized about it, but I'm really passionate.
Hey, there's
fuck those people.
Yeah, fuck those people.
Those people. You want to know what those people have? They're not passionate about what they do, and they're just fucking jealous. It happens to everybody. They're just like haters.
They wish they were that passionate about what they were doing.
Yeah. No, and I get fuel because I see from the marketplace, like, you know, if I rewind, you know, back to, you know, sitting in my parents' garage, you know, it's like this was a dream, you know, like this was if we're successful, this is what it's going to look like. And to be here now, you know, again, I'm, you know, from Minneapolis, you know, Prior Lake, Minnesota.
29.
Yeah, 29.
Huge.
And, you know, we have people around the world that are using our equipment to produce world-class content. Is like, that's the dream. You know,
I mean,
like
some of the biggest commercials in the industry.
Yep.
It's huge.
And how amazing is it? I'm just gonna say, how amazing is it to have your parents support that?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's massive. I mean, the support network for not only like just verbally, just being like, you're doing the right thing. I think that's one thing that, like, you know, no parents are perfect, but like my parents did such a good job saying to me, like, I mean, from the time that I was like 3, being like, you can do whatever you want. And like, that has always been my mindset.
My parents were on the same page.
Always.
They're like, you can go to school wherever you want.
Yep.
You know, stuff like that. It's like, just do what you want.
Yeah.
Because
and if nothing more, you're capable of it.
Exactly.
You know, like even if it ends up not panning out, you're capable of it.
Right.
I think that's a massively different mindset from, you know, one person to another. It's like, have you been told for your entire life that you can do? It doesn't mean you're going to have to fucking work your ass off.
Exactly.
You know, or I should say, it doesn't mean that you're not going to have to work your ass off. Like there's hard work everywhere you go.
Yeah.
But to be told that you're capable and to be told that you're worth it and that you deserve it and can do it is it's a big mindset difference.
Oh, yeah.
And kind of the impetus for success for anyone. You know, you have to go into knowing that, like, you can do it. You know, everything was built by human for human, and you can't be afraid to jump in.
That couldn't be any more true. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Super good stuff, man. Super good stuff.
Cool.
Well, I
seriously, thank you for joining us.
Totally.
I think we're at a good
Any other
point,
questions?
Yeah, no, I mean,
Is there
unless
anything
you've
that
got more to
anything
say,
you want to
dude.
touch
I
on?
mean,
Or
this is your first podcast, and
Yeah,
I'm
you
like,
did.
I feel like I'm listening to a podcast.
I felt
right
like
now.
I just got schooled on how to do a podcast.
I feel like I'm just sitting here on my computer, like, oh my god, are we recording
I
one,
didn't
or am I
talk a whole
listening to
lot
one?
because I was just taking it all in. I was like,
Yeah.
Well, good. I mean,
no, you
I
nailed
hope
it,
that,
man. I
I hope that the viewers get value too. So
Yeah.
no,
I hope we do.
I
hope they do too.
I wrote down failure is the door that I walk through.
Yeah.
Because I think that is an exquisite title,
Yeah.
but also because that is a quote that I'm probably going to keep with me for the rest of my life.
Rock on, man. That's great.
That's going to be the
that is
title for this
amazing.
podcast.
Yeah. Failure is
cool.
the door that I walk through. And it's like a fearlessness that you just, you know, it is not going to go right the first time based on experience.
Yep.
And
Someone
you're
who
still
lives-
going to walk through it with the same strength that you would if you had the
Yeah.
mindset that you were going to succeed. And
Yep.
that is the biggest mindset you can have to overcome hurdles and do what you are meant to do in
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, someone who lives by that's been humbled.
Absolutely.
And I think
Before.
you set it up. You are going to give quite a run for our upcoming guests on this podcast with this one.
Yeah, right.
And
You guys,
I'm
Yeah,
so happy you
for
were
real.
the first.
Rock on.
for sure.
Rock on.
All right, Zachary, I appreciate it. Where can people like follow your stuff and
Yeah,
you know,
do the,
Motocrane and
do the
keep up with
plug.
your stuff and whatnot? And
100%. Yeah. So you can follow us on Instagram at Motocrane_team. You can find us online at www.motocrane.com. We're on Facebook. Hit us up anytime. We're always open to chat about cranes and cool stuff.
heck
Awesome.
yeah.
And you guys are going to be at Cinegear this year, correct?
We will be at
So
Cine Gear.
And we will too.
We will see you there.
We'll see you there.
Yeah.
Rock on.
It's going to be a
good
fun
show.
time.
Cinegear is
Absolutely.
always fun.
Well, we appreciate it, Zach, and we hope you have a rest of good NAB. And
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what Ultra has to do in
Yeah.
the future.
Cheers to NAB 2019.
Yeah,
Cheers.
cheers.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
Awesome.